Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, and it is a pleasure to be joined by Meatball Molly McCann. Another fight week, UFC London. Molly, how are we feeling?
Feeling good, to be honest. I've only got about 2 kilos to cut today, so that's, when you're speaking to fighters, I don't think they normally be giving interviews on weight cut day. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good sign. And excited to do the job on Saturday.
Well, this is Thursday, so we really do appreciate Molly's time. We not sponsored by Monster, in case you can see the can. Molly's had me doing the shot run, going down to get her a Monster. But how has preparation been so far this week?
Prep's been brilliant in the camp. However, obviously we had a late pull out last week, so then this week has been more about adjusting, just to the opponent change, and all the Brazilians, the females, tend to fight quite similar, so there wasn't that much of an adjustment. But just instead of punching up there, it's just a little bit higher because he's a little bit smaller, but different face but same outcome.
When you said Brazilians fight similarly, what would you say are the key similarities in their style?
Aggressive, hunting for the finish, they're not boring, lots of passion, driving hard. The Scousers and Brazilians, I think I've fought 10 Brazilians now.
Have you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. And
what's your record with Brazilians, do you know?
I was like 6-4.
Oh, so we're winning.
We're winning,
yeah,
we're winning, yeah. But yeah, they always bring out. It's hard, I think. The hardest part about fighting them is sometimes it's a bit like, so when you get 2 Mexicans or 2 Irish fighting each other in boxing, and they're too they fight too much with this sometimes, not enough of this. I think that's all you have to mitigate when you're in these kinds of fights.
Is that a Scouse problem as well?
It's definitely my biggest problem. My biggest positive attribute and my worst attribute is sometimes I'd fight too much with this and for the fans, than sometimes maybe keep to the game plan.
Do you, with that being said, do you enjoy fighting in London? I appreciate that's probably an easy answer of yes, but with those aspects you mentioned about fighting for the crowd, is it something that you have to, needle that you have to thread?
Yeah, I think sometimes the 2 finishes that I got in London, I was just amped up by the crowd, and I think I need to you just have to know when to go, and sometimes, say when the chips are low or it's a bit of a stale couple of minutes, and then they start ramping up and Molly, it's like, right, just don't get lost in it, don't get lost in it. And I think you hear in a lot of the commentary, it's like Molly's coming out, the crowd's on the side, blah blah blah, but you can get a big adrenaline dump with that, and it's just managing, and again, like I say, mitigating that adrenaline drop, like the big adrenaline pump, and just mellow out with it. But I do think it's more positive than it's ever negative.
If you don't mind me saying this, I suppose your career in the O2 has been the highest of highs and in some ways maybe the lowest of lows. How do you what's your mindset going into this fight? Do you feel like you're right or wrong after the last time you fought here in some ways?
I think this is fight number 14 for me in the UFC, and me and Paul were speaking about it yesterday, and there's not many fighters in the game who can handle losses the way that I can and bounce back, and two losses back to back, and then come back with 3 massive victories, and then a loss again, and then a win again, and then you have to understand 50% of fighters win and 50% lose.
Exactly.
Like,
Paul said this yesterday when we spoke to him.
There's two people in there, and this is the fight business, and we're fighting at the highest level, so I take the losses really personal, but it just always gives me more fire to come back, and I just always truly believe it's me who's made the mistake and they've capitalised, not that they're leaps and bounds better than me. And when you can get your head around that, when you see the likes of like Gaethje and Holloway and even Joanna Jędrzejczyk back in the day in the female side, it's like you take them losses, but it's another day in my office. You could have, I'm not saying you have, but you could do a shit interview.
It happens more often than it doesn't, believe it or not.
And then sometimes you just don't hold on to it, you just think, right, next time I'll make sure I'm a bit more prepared there, this, that, and but you're not putting yourself under any more pressure. You do a bit more work, do you know what I mean? And that's it really. I always make the fight about the fans, but it's just me in there, so just going to do me.
Some fighters, you know, we see like an Ilia Topuria, for example, who wins all the way up until a world title fight.
Yeah.
Some fighters, as you say, your Dustin Poiriers, your Charles Oliveira's, you like someone like yourself, it's an up and down, wins and losses. Did you always, I'm not saying you went into fights expecting to lose, but did you anticipate your journey to be the way that it has?
Absolutely not, no. I thought I was just going to go boom, and that's not fucking life, is it?
No.
That isn't how it goes, and mine's probably a little bit more of a blue-collar story. Smallest reach in the whole of the UFC, fighting in the wrong weight division, still having a good go at that weight class, do you know what I mean? And then drop down, refined, my skills a little bit more polished off. I had 3 amateur fights and I had to go pro, and I was signed within the UFC within 6 fights or 7 fights. So it was like, I've been doing MMA for 5 years, from the day I walked into the gym to the day I got into the UFC, and that's not a long time to learn your trade. Especially,
learn on the job.
Yeah, I learned on the job, and I've said this quite a lot this week, but I think it was like someone like Tom Brady, the NFL player, and he said, it's not about the wins, it's about how you always handle the losses and what you do with that. So, yeah, I will sit in it for a minute, but yeah, I do always come back and show a better account of myself every time. So I can be a bit more, people can maybe, what's the word? I'm like a normal person.
Yes.
In a normal life, and their life is going to go up and down, and they can maybe relate to my journey a little bit more.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
Relatable.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more relatable and a little bit more of a Cinderella story, I suppose.
This is obviously being filmed on the Thursday of fight week. We had a little bit of a discussion last night in the hotel reception. Can you tell the fans what your pre-weight cut ritual is?
Did I say one yesterday?
You did, with Harrods.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're literally going there at 12:30. So 6 years ago, I won my UFC debut in London, and on the weight cut day, we went to Harrods. We went to the food court. Obviously, Meatball Molly got me name from working at Subway. And the man, some lads was like making a butty at the rotisserie thing. I went, but you're making that wrong, you know. And he's going, no, I'm not. I said, you're not hinge cutting the bread properly. And he just looked at me. And he went, why do you want to do it? And like BBC was following me. I went, yeah. So I've ended up getting behind the counter, making, I think it was like a roast chicken sub, wrapping it and everything. And then we ended up giving him tickets to come and watch the fight as well. It was dead funny. And then Paul Rimmer, my favourite thing is a caramel or a cream egg. And we ended up seeing a chocolate Scotch egg, but it was a cream egg in the middle, brownie on the outside, like a normal Scotch egg. And he bought me one, and I said, I'll eat that when I win. And I didn't. I ate it on the Friday night after the made weight. And then I had the best fight of my life. And every time we fight in London, we've always done that. But I tell you what, the last time I came to London, we didn't, and I lost. And I'm not that superstitious. But I said to him before, I was like, lads, we need to go and get that cream egg, that Scotch egg. And he's laughing. He's like, yeah, go on, no problem.
We better get you out of here soon, because you've got a date with Harrods. Before let you go, a couple more questions. Probably this is the most hard-hitting question I'm going to ask you right now. 4 games left at Goodison Park. How are we feeling about the move to Bramley-Moore? Stadium looks fantastic.
Stadium looks fantastic. I'm excited. My mum bought me for Christmas. She's like, what do you want? I was like, not mum. And she bought me like, you know, like the slabs on the floor that I've got your name on. So I've got, well, it used to be like a brick, didn't it? But now Bramley-Moore, it's a big slab on the floor, and it's like Molly McCann born a blue. She was like, do you want meatball on it? I was like, absolutely not, no mum, because when I'm 40 and got kids, I don't want to still be known as meatball. But I'll miss having to sit either in the main stand or the upper Gladys with me mates, and having to peek round posts and watching the match, you know what I mean, or being absolutely freezing. But there's real history. The best day of my life, I got signed by the UFC because Everton pushed me, and the UFC signed me like Everton announced me like a player. So I was at Goodison Park with a t-shirt, Molly McCann, UFC Liverpool, blah blah blah, and it was like, I've got to play there in the County Cup final a few times with football. I played a couple of charity matches there. was their pitch invaded when we stayed up with Big Frank on the 3-2 against Crystal Palace. Like, some of the really amazing days has been there. The last derby win that we got, I was there. And yeah, it's going to be sad, but it's new memories to be made.
What happens if Paddy gets his wish and gets a fight of a UFC made to Anfield? Would you fight on the undercard?
Well, I used to play for Liverpool.
Oh, so you did.
So I played football at Anfield actually a few times. So I'm not bitter. Come derby day, I don't want to know about Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? But no, look, I'd rather both teams in our city be the most successful than like fuck Man U and Man City and London teams. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. So, last question from me, Molly. Thank you so much for your time. Give me a walkthrough, or as you envisage fight day going. When you envisage Saturday, talk me through what a perfect day looks like.
Perfect day. Wake up, go downstairs. All my family and friends, Paddy, the whole fight team's downstairs. We have a lovely meal. Probably go for a walk and a coffee with my boxing coach, Danny Wivow. Jamie Webster's playing. Nathan goes and wins. I get on the coach after, go over, and I'd like to say I show everyone. Every fighter would envisage it just going perfect, and that's just not a Molly McCann story. So when I envisage a fight, I envisage being in the worst case scenarios and finding my way out, and the crowd erupting when I get that finish, and jumping on Paul and Ellis in the corner and being like, we fucking done it. So when I envisage how the fight goes, it's never always one finish. It's just me on the mic at the end. I was always told 10 minutes after a fight, envisage where you're going to be. And it's hopefully not in the ambulance. It's always in the media room, probably a pink gin in my hand.
Another monster.
No, it'll be ale then, lad. It'll be ale then. And then the Sunday morning when you can wake up and there's no pressure on your shoulders. That's the perfect. You've woke up, your phone's blowing up, you've done the business, everyone's proud. Go back to Liverpool, go to Paul Petter and get some subs in me.
I love it. Yeah. Well, Molly, thank you so much for your time. We've seen you over the last couple of days, and we know how busy you are. Molly actually, she showed us our WhatsApp, and there was 248 messages, and she was kind enough to reply to us. So
that was just this week as well. I was like, oh no.
I can imagine. Well, thank you so much for your time. Have a great and safe rest of fight camp. Best luck to the fight.
Cheers, mate.